Hi, my name is Paul DiMarzio. I'm the Director of Marketing at the InterWork Alliance, and I'd like to welcome you to my private one-person Zoom call from my little office in Connecticut. Wish we could all be together to have this conversation, but we'll look forward to that another day. I'd like to thank my colleagues at the Cascadia Blockchain Council for inviting me to this WTIA Blockchain UnConference. I think it's a really novel idea, and I'm glad to be here to talk about what we're doing at the IWA. Personally, I've spent the last 5 or 6 years working on blockchain projects at a variety of places. Starting with IBM, I worked at Digital Asset and the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance before deciding to help launch the IWA this summer. And in this quick session, I'll give you some examples as to why that's the case and what we're doing at the IWA. Very difficult for me to share my passion in just 10 minutes or so. What I've decided to do is put together a couple of slides for you so that you have a few things to kind of look at while I'm trying to get my message out as quickly as I can. So, think about some of the things that you've been looking to do in blockchain or have been trying to do in blockchain. And I put on this slide 4 examples that I'm personally involved in right now. One is trying to add liquidity to commercial real estate offerings, basically democratizing lines of businesses that have historically been very, very centralized. Working with a group that's focused on lowering carbon emissions through private markets for that, doing something for the greater good in terms of climate change. We're working with a group that is looking to remove, what is ironically almost the last piece of paper required in the world, called a bill of lading, which accompanies any global shipment these days, and turning that into something electronic. And also even things as simple as trying to ensure that security has the same look and feel across all multi-vendor markets across industries to instill consumer confidence and trust. These are the sorts of goals, great goals, and there are others, of course, that many people have, but are being limited from achieving. And a lot of this has to do with the way that we've done traditional interchanges in a very transactional and limited nature. Now, I spent 30 years of my career working on transactional systems, so I'm not saying that they're a bad thing. What I am saying, though, is that transactional systems are really not suited for some forms of multi-party digital interchange that we'd really like to get done today, and these are a couple of examples of that. What I've seen in my own career is that blockchain has shown that we can really, really improve these sorts of interchanges when we have in place a mechanism that can guarantee trust and ensure transparency, basically taking that work out of the individual parties and pushing it down to a trusted system. And what really resonated in this space for me is the concept of decentralized digital contracts being written against these cryptographically trusted digital tokens. So being able to represent almost any item of value as a digital token, and then being able to contract against that is the form of digital interchange that we're really looking to achieve today. And blockchain showed the way. So what's the problem? I think the basic problem is that we've focused so much on technological things that we've splintered as an organization, as an industry. How many blockchains are there out there in the world today, and how many come up every day? What we don't have is a global specification for people to use together to define value or how contracts correlate against that value. And so what that does is it kind of isolates us into the silos that we were trying to get away from when we first started thinking about things like blockchain. We now have silos again, and trying to be able to operate across multiple parties and multiple vendor technologies and multiple industries, it's almost impossible these days, because even the slightest variation in how a token is defined or how contractual clauses are written against that token just muck up the whole works. So, this is the problem space that I've seen and that my colleagues have seen, and it's the sort of thing that we want to address in the InterWork Alliance. And we chose the name InterWork specifically because we want to raise the level of thinking from focusing on technology to focusing on business needs. How do the business aspects of these token-powered applications work? What are they trying to achieve? How do they need to interwork with each other, if you will. We can envision a seamless environment where applications built on tokens can work with each other regardless of where they start, regardless of which industry they're focused on. In order to make this happen, though, we believe that we need to have common specifications in 3 areas, and they're listed here on the slide. Being able to define those digital tokens, being able to build what we'll call contractual encodings against those, I'll explain that in a moment, and then being able to build market-driven analysis against the shared data that we have in this system. And if we can do this, we feel that this is going to result in a stable and reliable ecosystem. It's going to defragment the markets that are so siloed again today. It's going to bring the regulators in, because now the discussion is on business and not technology, and the regulators can understand it and understand specifically what they're supporting. And it will bring more global consumer trust into the things that we're trying to do. So what we've found at the IWA is that most of these token-based applications can actually be composed from a known set of shared common components, and you can build that right up the stack. Now, one of the things we do is we do not focus on the network itself. We start with the token. You start with the business case. What is that token trying to achieve? And we can actually compose tokens from this set of standard components. Within each of these tokens, keeping the separation of the definition of value from how the value is actually going to be utilized, we build placeholders into these tokens, effectively developing interfaces that will allow these tokens to be, the behaviors to be defined, but programmed against from outside of the token itself. And we find that these sorts of contractual clauses, as we'll call them, that actually implement token behaviors, they also are very common across various tokens. So for example, if you were to say that a token is insurable, there's probably only a few certain ways that actually has to be implemented. Now, I'm not talking about the insurance applications themselves. These are bigger things, but really how the application will interact with the token, that's a common piece, and we can standardize that. And that's where then you build out those larger distributed applications, or smart contracts, if you will, as compositions of these clauses. So think about it. You've got tokens that are being built from common pieces. You've got contractual clauses that are being standardized and then composed into distributed applications where you're actually getting into what you want to do from multi-party agreement. And then with all of this shared data, we have the ability to build out multi-party analytics against it by defining how the data schema should be looked at and shared across them. So the concept of the IWA is built upon this sort of a stack basis of composable pieces. And you'll see this transformed into the frameworks that we're actually building against this. So again, we are a technology neutral environment. We're not focusing on which blockchain to pick, or even if it's a blockchain. It could be certain variations of blockchains. I've seen distributed databases be able to provide the same sort of system that the tokens need. So ignoring that part of it, focusing on the business aspects, we build out a framework for defining tokens, a framework for building out those contractual clauses, and a framework for building out the analytics on top of that. This is what we're looking to achieve. We take a very business-centric approach towards this. So we break ourselves up into what we call business working groups and technology working groups. The business groups start the process by defining the use case that they want to look at, understanding what the items of value are and how to tokenize those items, what kinds of clauses need to be built against those items, and what sorts of analytics would be useful, all from a business perspective. This is then passed into the technical groups, which will build out the frameworks. And once those frameworks are done, they get passed back to the business group to validate and use. And we have open source interactive visual tooling that business folks can use to actually see if what we're providing them is working. And once we have a working set of specifications, then our members can go off and produce products against those specs, and eventually we will be providing a certification program to allow those products to be certified against the specs. So just to end, I'll just put us in perspective with other organizations. We are very new. We started in June, so we're just about 4 months old as this is going to be seen. But we're filling a gap that's really not been filled in this group. We're focused on market innovation, and if you were to look at the way that industry organizations are generally aligned, many of them focus on technology innovation. This is where you'd see things like the IEEE building standards, Hyperledger building code. We are an affiliate associate with the IEEE, and we are a member of Hyperledger, and they are as well a member of us. And then on the market innovation, we're focused on getting those specifications together based on what other folks are doing and really creating a market here. And we interact with folks like the WTIA and other organizations that have other specific ways that they're looking to push market innovation. So just to sum up, what was a very lightning talk here, we are a member-led organization. We believe that token-based economies are going to just disrupt what's going on in the globe. It's going to really change the way that things happen, but it can only happen if we can all come to an agreement on how to interwork across multiple vendors, across multiple infrastructures, and across multiple industries. So that is our work, ensuring that this alignment occurs. We can only achieve this if you are a part of the work. So, I very much welcome you to join us at the IWA. You can send me an email if you'd like to see more information from this deck. I certainly welcome you to go to interwork.org, or we have some other webinars and things out there. With that, I'll stop the share. I hope you did enjoy this talk. And again, so much more information to give you, so little time. Please do look at the resources that we have available and contact me if you need some further information. Thank you very much.